What's up, everybody? Now, this video is pertaining to what Mr. Global said. Now, I have nothing against Mr. Global. I love his content, talking about the oil industry and all the different things, gas and bringing in facts and stuff like that. Excellent. He actually talked about the news. Now, that's something that is my background. And he talked about people online just reading the news and calling themselves journalists. Your point is semi-valid. The way news should work, it hasn't for a very, very long time, is you get the information and you get people out there finding out the absolute truth. And then you actually go out and tell about it. If it's not flushed out just yet, you don't cover it. You cover out the ones that are already flushed out. Then you can be able to produce news at a pace in which you can give the people the facts and not a lot of propaganda and sensational BS. That's the problem with news. Now, what social media news is doing, they're holding mainstream media news to the fire. Now, you'll notice they won't just regurgitate what the news said. They'll dig deeper and they'll say, this is what the news said, and this is the fucking truth. And here are the receipts to prove it. That is journalism, sir. So you may not think it's journalism because it doesn't come from the traditional ways of doing journalism, but the traditional ways are no longer the news that you see day to day. You wish it were, but it's not. Fox and all the rest have their own slant. Now, if it's real, like this is the fact and this is the fact, it shouldn't have a slant. Now, should it? Because it's just hyperbole. It's like dun 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 dun, and have you all worried for no fucking reason whatsoever. But you're gonna tune back into me to hear the rest of the dun 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 dun. And I'm like, fuck you with your dun 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 dun. Tell the fucking truth. Do you know? You don't? Then shut the fuck up. Simple as that. Excuse my passion for this. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I ain't got nothing against you, sir. None whatsoever. Just to let you know, this is how news actually works. And for anybody else out there that has this figment of their imagination of what news is, no. When you watch the news and locally, you'll understand that they read the newspaper prior to that day even starting, right? Early in the morning, they get their newspaper. They read it. They come up with stories. Some of these reporters and anchors would think about in-depth stories. Some of them investigative stories that take a while. They will save those for specials, meaning that they'll dig deeper into those stories and actually give you the news you may never have heard in your town. Like people in your town that's supposed to be working for the state, instead they're going out and going to brothels on the state's dollar, or going to bars and having food when they're supposed to be fixing the street. That type of shit. That's investigative. They do that. That is actual news because it's new. Okay. The rest of this shit is old. It's not new. Okay. It is something that somebody wrote, did the story about, and by the time it reaches a newspaper, that means if it's a really good story, that means that person has done investigative homework. They've gotten SOTs, sound bites from people, placed them into the article, wrote them, had their editor look over them, if not their lawyers look over them to make sure they didn't say something out of turn, and then it reaches the newspaper. On the day it reaches the newspaper, that's when it becomes a news story for television, and that's not national, that's local. Now, if they like that local, it'll go to network because then it is accelerated to the point where more eyes should see this. So that's how you know what is news. And these people who are out here doing their due diligence and coming up with receipts, they're just as much a journalist as some of these people that you see on your nightly news. Not because they got the degree, but because they actually did the fucking homework and have the receipts. So, sir, even you, if you listen to a news story and you read it, and then you go and do a little homework and find out that some of the people that they talk about are not exactly who they say they are, and then you start to look a little bit deeper and find out that something they said is not necessarily what they meant, is out of context. And then you put together a video of what the news said and what the actual facts are, then, sir, you may not be a journalist, but you just pulled off a journalistic task, meaning that you have become somewhat of an investigative journalist, right? You don't have to have a degree to tell the fucking truth. It's just that simple.